Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Patriot Nation TV. I'm your host, Tim Davis, your New Age Patriot with a 1776 attitude. Just one man, one opinion. Trying to connect the dots and making sense of it all. Tonight's show is going to be episode 2 of a 3-part series I'm doing called Did the Nazis Lose or Move to America? If you missed my first episode, it was Operation Paperclip. It's in other videos. At the end of this video, I'll post up on my left-hand corner. If you missed it, tune into it, check it out. So part 2 of this series, Did the Nazis Lose or Move to America? I'm going to be discussing Operation Mockingbird. That's what we're going to be discussing. So you got to ask yourself this. Just imagine, if you will. The CIA used to control the media. But don't worry. According to New World Globalist back in 1975, Mr. New World Order himself, George H.W. Bush, we don't need to worry about it anymore because they don't do it anymore, according to him. And, just stuff like that. So this is going to bring me to, when conspiracy theories become the truth. When conspiracy theories become the truth. And by the way, the term conspiracy theorist was originated by the CIA. So basically, we get down to it. Operation Mockingbird is and was a large-scale program of the CIA that began in the late 1940s, like 48, 49, into the early 50s. By recruiting leading American journalists into a propaganda network that oversees operations throughout the world to manipulate world opinions. Operation Mockingbird was a fully implemented CIA program to spread disinformation throughout America and American media. As the former CIA director William Colby testified, I believe in 1973, he testified to the Church Committee that over 400 CIA agents were active in the U.S. media to control what was reported throughout American mainstream television, newspapers, and magazines. This this brings me to what I said earlier about the so-called conspiracy theories. The CIA controlling and manipulating civilians' minds is not fiction. It's a conspiracy theory that turned out to be true during the 1970s in the United States of America. So where did it all begin? Following the Second World War, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, was able to gain control of what was being published, not only in the U.S., but more in general across the globe. It exerted much influence over what the public should be allowed to see and what should be concealed, in essence. It ruled what the public saw, heard, and read on a regular basis. Orwell warned us about that in his fictional book, 1984. Operation Mockingbird is a United States CIA campaign that aimed not only to influence the media, but also to infiltrate it. Since the 1950s, the CIA started recruiting journalists, editors, and students in order to write falsehoods, false propaganda, and false stories. The CIA stories were entirely propaganda, and their employees were paid huge salaries in order to promote such fake news. As Orwell would say, doublespeak, newspeak. Essentially, the CIA managed to control both national and international newspapers through a bribe plunder. During the 1950s, Cord Meyer and Alan W. Dulles devised and organized a propaganda outreach program. They recruited leading American journalists into a network in order to propagate and promulgate the CIA's views. The CIA went to extremes of funding these students, cultural organizations, and magazines that would spread the CIA's views of events. However, in the meantime, the suspicion that the CIA could manipulate public opinion arose around between 1972 and 1974, due to the Watergate scandal, which exposed Richard Nixon's involvement in the war in Vietnam. And, you gotta here's some of the facts about Operation. Here's some of the facts. Operation Mockingbird indicates the CIA involvement in manipulation of news published in the United States and across the world. Today, one can identify such manipulation as with fake news, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, CNN. Operation Mockingbird commonly refers to the CIA's involvement in journalism during the 1970s and 60s. The CIA definitely bribed students, as well as established journalists and reporters, to write a CIA version of the events. Senator McCarthy warned us of this, as did President John F. Kennedy. Senator Frank Church established the Church Committee in order to investigate government operations and potential abuses. The CIA admitted their manipulation of mainstream media in order to change the American people's minds and publish The Family Jewels. There's a book they published, Family Jewels. So this brings me to the Church Committee and actions to prevent the CIA's involvement in the news, which, by the way, was amended in 2000, I believe, 12. Barack Obama did it. No, they just replaced the CIA with DHS post 9/11. Amendment 114. Go look it up. It says everything about it. They just names, and just the names changed. Same programs. So anyway, during the 1970s, the Church Committee was created by Senator Frank Church in order to investigate any government operations and potential abuses carried out by the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, and the IRS. During an interview, Senator Church publicly claimed, "We have quite a lot of detailed information," which, by the way, is detracted now, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoings or any evidence of improperly in our final report, and we will make recommendations. In 1973, the CIA published Family Jewels, a book which exposes all the information that had been hidden and manipulated throughout the decades. The book is around 700 pages long. It's about 700 pages long. Moreover, in the same year, the director of the CIA, William E. Colby, stated that the CIA undertook no activity in which there is risk of influencing domestic public opinion, either directly or indirectly. The agency will continue its prohibition against the placement of material in American media. Now, you also got to remember, during World War II, FDR had an executive order where the media cannot propagate. It's illegal to use propaganda because World War II wasn't really popular prior to the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So, in certain instances, usually where the initiative is on the part of the media, the CIA will occasionally provide factual, non-arbitrable briefings to various elements of the media, but only in cases where we are sure that the senior editorial staff is aware of the source of information provided. Citing Colby. Also, in 1975, the CIA admitted their manipulation of mainstream media in order to forge and redirect the opinions of American citizens. They admitted that information was distorted in order to fit specific agendas. Brings me to mind, back in the 90s, the no smoking campaign, today the gun control for the last 20 years, and so on and so on. COVID, vaccines, everything else. It didn't go anywhere. It's still here, folks. So, following a report published by the U.S. Congress in 1976, the CIA currently maintains a network of several hundred foreign individuals around the world who provide intelligence for the CIA and at times attempt to influence opinion through the use of covert propaganda. These individuals provide the CIA with direct access to a large number of newspapers and magazines, scores of press services and news agencies, radio and television stations, commercial book publishers, and other foreign media outlets. So this brings me to Mr. New World Order himself, George H.W. Bush, former president. Although in 1975, George H.W. Bush publicly ended the CIA relations with the U.S. media, but the CIA is still actively involved in foreign organizations, which in turn feed the United States media with information. PBS, BBC, everything else, it's all foreign media. It's one big conspiracy, right, I guess. And Bush established that the CIA will not enter into any paid or contractual relationships with any full-time or part-time news correspondent accredited by any United States news service, newspaper, periodically radio and television networks or stations. Although in 1976, Colby claimed that the Central Intelligence had broken all relations and ties with journalism in 1973, which we know it didn't happen. This is hard to believe. Moreover, he also stated that he did not see any harm in purchasing information from part-time correspondents who sell information to news organizations in the country. However, in general, suspicion took over the capital city, as we see today, but back in 1976, all conservative journalists, all conservative radio talk show hosts, even former CIA employees that came forth, they call them whistleblowers, that had rapidly achieved recognition within the news world were now regarded with mistrust. As we see today, every news network goes against Fox News or any conservative talk host. We see it today. And that same year, Senator Church published in his report that the CIA had a strong network composed of several hundred foreign individuals, adding on to the 400 American journalists around the world that were dedicated to providing the Central Intelligence with misleading news. In fact, American journalist Scott Shane gives an account of his experience with the CIA. In 1979, he received their recruitment letter in which they expressed tentative interest in his qualifications. Shane wrote about this in 2017-18, I believe. Shane declined the offer of collaborating with the CIA, and his file was replaced in the inactive section. According to Bernstein in 1977, the people that worked undercover for the CIA were employed by CBS, the Times, the New York Times, the Louisville Courier Journal, the Copley News Service, ABC, NBC, CBS, Reuters, and so on and so on. Moreover, throughout the 1950s, the CIA invested much money in training their agents as journalists. According to members of the CIA, they were taught to make noise like reporters before being placed in powerful organizations. Bernstein wrote about this in 1977. So, this can go on and on and on. I just gave you a little brief rundown of what's going on and how it still applies. Mr. New World Order, George Bush, his September 11th, 1991 speech. The app came out publicly talking about the New World Order, proving that the New World Order does exist. And post 9/11, 10 years later, and here we are in 2021, 20 years after that. Facebook is in full control of the CIA. I mean, as a matter of fact, I can't find it anymore. I was going to try to bring it up and try to download it to save it, where the CIA and Zuckerberg actually, they were talking about how, like, it's like the perfect tool. Facebook's the perfect tool for the CIA. They don't need warrants anymore, the Fourth Amendment, because everybody just posts everything on Facebook. And they also, what's been revealed lately, but Fauci's emails being exposed, that Zuckerberg colluded with Fauci to hide information. Obviously, Big Brother is part of that. So basically, that's my little take on Operation Mockingbird. I'm going a little bit longer. I'm about 16 minutes into it. And I really didn't want to, go too far. Just giving everybody a heads up. Give a quick rundown what it's all about. You can look up yourself, figure it all out. Otherwise, I'd be here for hours and hours and hours discussing it. And it's just not worth it, I'm just here to give you the heads up and the direction to go into. So I'm going to end this little show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was a little informative for you. And like I ask, if you're new to the show, please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell. And I guess tune in for episode 3. And we'll conclude this whole series. And maybe we'll have a 4th show. Maybe I'm going to have a live guest on, hopefully. And we'll discuss all 3. Maybe we'll take some phone calls and stuff like that. So for now, everybody, I'm going to tune out. So like I always do, I'm going to say God bless you, God bless America. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.